There's no better way to explore some of the most profound questions about history, geopolitics, the human condition, than the study of biography. We know, on the one hand, that history is shaped by big abstract forces that transcend the life of any single individual. Yet we also know that leaders matter in history. Their choices, their ideas, their personalities, these are the things that are at the very heart of what moves history. So biography at its best falls right at the point where these two great historical truths that are in tension with each other come together. And by studying the biography of a world historical figure, a Lincoln, a Churchill, a de Gaulle, we get to explore these big questions about the relationship between character and destiny, about the nature of leadership, the impact that individuals can have on why things happen the way that they do. So that's the first reason for this seminar. Here's another. People like to read biography, but they very rarely study it. As a rule, at universities, you'd be very hard-pressed to find a history class that's devoted to the life of a significant historical figure. It's just not academically fashionable to do such a thing. And in my view, that's a missed opportunity. So the idea of this seminar and the wider series it will inaugurate is to seize that opportunity. The aim is to apply intellectual rigor to the study of biography. Our ambition is not simply to read biography because it is entertaining or inspiring, although it's very often both of those things, but to interrogate it, bring to it the structure and the discipline of the seminar. And look, picking up an 800-page book can be daunting. So the idea of this seminar is, let's climb the mountain together. Rather than a solitary expedition, let's make this a team sport. Now, one last point. When we say that we're going to be studying great leaders, it isn't to lionize them. It isn't to say that they're good or bad, and it certainly isn't to whitewash them of their mistakes, their flaws, their humanity. It's simply to say that these are individuals who, by any measure, have had a transformative impact on the world, and that this makes them worthy of study. You may come away admiring a person, you may come away abhorring them. Maybe it'll be a bit of both. But at minimum, you will have the basis, an informed basis, to make a judgment. Why start with Charles de Gaulle? It's a great question. First, de Gaulle is a figure who is not well known to Americans. Most of us have heard the name, but he's on the fringe of our national imagination. So reading a biography of de Gaulle offers something that's special. The seminar for most students will not be a recapitulation of the familiar, but a chance to voyage into something that is genuinely new. Now, a second reason to study the life of Charles de Gaulle is that the story itself is absolutely astounding. It defies belief. In June 1940, he is the most junior general in the French army when the country falls to the Nazis. The entire leadership of France capitulates. He alone flies to London, a penniless brigadier. He has no troops of his own. He has no followers. No one back in France has ever heard of him. Yet by the end of the war, he has become the leader of France. And he does this despite fighting constantly, viciously, gratuitously with the very allies he depends upon for his survival. And then just at the moment that he has succeeded against all the odds and is at the pinnacle of power, he walks away. He steps down as leader of the government in 1946. He warns that the new constitution is going to be a recipe for failure. And he says that he will come back when he can do things his way. And again, he goes into a kind of exile, only this time inside his own country, only to return 12 years later, long after almost everyone has written him off. And at that point, does more or less exactly what he has always said he is going to do. So the story is amazing. If you wrote it as a novel, no one would believe it. Yet at the same time, what makes de Gaulle even more compelling is that he's not a straightforward figure. On the one hand, he has these extraordinary characteristics, his courage, his vision, perseverance, his intuition. Yet on the other, he's not a particularly likable person. As a human being, he comes across as remote, haughty, prickly, cold, austere. He lacks the pathos of a Lincoln or the charm of an FDR or the warmth and the wit and the humanity of a Churchill. You can't really imagine yourself having a beer with Charles de Gaulle. It's not really clear that you necessarily would want to. But that's precisely what makes him so compelling, so interesting. What does it mean to be a great leader? What are the sources of greatness? What are the qualities that propel a person to the very height of power and then enable them, once they are in power, to do great things in that position? These are the kinds of questions that the study of de Gaulle allow us to take on. And then there's the fact that de Gaulle is a direct participant in the most consequential developments of the 20th century. The world wars, the rise of America as a global power, the transformation of warfare by technology, first mechanization, then the invention of the nuclear bomb, decolonization, the upheaval of the 1960s. De Gaulle is there for all of it, buffeted by these great historical dramas, but also to a remarkable degree shaping them through sheer force of will. So by studying de Gaulle, we also get to explore the events that literally made the world as we know it, and at the role at the same time of an individual and his capacity for determining their outcome. Finally, this is not just a seminar about great leaders, it's also a seminar about great biographies. And in the case of Julian Jackson's de Gaulle, we have a book that is equal to the task. And so this in turn will also allow us to get at a final set of questions about what is it that makes a biography great? What is the task of a biographer? What are the limitations of the form? What are the opportunities of it? So in addition to looking at this extraordinary figure, we also get to delve into questions about historiography, about what is the role and the task of biography itself.